Hi, welcome to a new video, and I've bought another job lot of cameras. So this is the second job lot that I've bought. If you want to see the video I put together on the first job lot, then click on the link up there and you'll be able to go and have a look where I bought 6 cameras for £18 and see how that turned out. Now also go and have a look at that video if you want to see some just general advice and hints and tips on if you're going to buy job lots, what you need to really consider and take into account before you take the plunge, the expectations that you have to have. Now, on the last video, I'll let you know how much I paid for the job lot up front, then talked about what I got. I'm going to do things a little bit different this time and turn that around. So I'm going to run through what I got and then I'm going to let you know how much I paid for it. So have a guess, see if you can figure it out as we go along, and we'll talk about at the end whether I think I got good value for money or not. So let's start off. Now, there were some odds and sods and bits and pieces in here. There was some mechanical cable releases, a couple of skylight filters, nothing of great importance, and also, just to get them out of the way first of all, 3 flash units. So let's have a look at the flash units. Okay, so what we got, these are all old single center point flash units, so I would imagine 70s stroke 80s for most of these. We've got a Sunpack Auto 28R thyristor. Not quite sure what the guide number on this one is, but I would imagine it's 28 because most of the time that's how they give it away. This one's quite a decent one because the manual output on it goes from full power down to 1/32, so that's an interesting little beast. And then I just pop that one down. 2 from Metz, 2 Megablitz units. So we've got a 181 purely manual, no auto function on that whatsoever, so I would think that's probably the earliest one of the lot, and I'm going to guess guide number 18 given the naming convention. And then a 34 BTC1, so given that I would again suggest that that is a guide number 34 on that. This one is auto with 3 auto settings. The Sunpack only has 2 auto settings. In general terms, these are worth pretty much nothing. I doubt I will use them, and one of the things you do need to be very careful with if you ever pick any of these up and use them is older flash guns like this. The discharge voltage in them could be incredibly high, and if you pop them on a hot shoe on any camera built really after the TTL age, and then they tended to have a maximum voltage that a camera could accept of about 6 volts or less. Whack something of this vintage on one of those, fire it off, and there's a chance you could fry the electrics in your camera, so don't do it. Treat old flash guns with a great deal of caution, not just because of that, but also because they're old and they have capacitors inside them, which can kill you. So I tend to just stick these on a shelf and do very little else with them. I'm not a big fan of flash photography these days anyway, that's just me. So that's those out of the way. Just throw them down there. Sorry, it's a sofa, it's not the floor. On to the next thing, and again, these were in there, but I'm not really going to pay a great deal of attention or time to them. Let's grab them off of the chair next to me, and that is a couple of APS cameras. A Nikon Nuvis 75i and a Canon Ixus Z50. So these took the advanced photo system film canisters. You can't buy those new anymore. You can on eBay and other similar marketplaces get expired film for them, but given the fact that it's as expensive or more expensive than buying 35mm film, I'm going to stick with buying 35mm film. So again, about a tenner these things are worth on the whole, but I don't really care about the value because once again they'll just go on my shelf. I may give them to a charity shop or something like that, but I'm highly unlikely to use them. So that's the kind of rubbish out of the way. Let's start having a look at some of the decent stuff now, or the more interesting stuff. Okay, so first up of the decent stuff, we have a Minolta Hi-Matic C. Now, this has a collapsible lens in it. And if you like things that pop up, we've got a few of those today, which is quite good. A 35mm viewfinder camera, launched about 1970, I think. This one is extremely clean. Basically, it's a sort of shutter priority camera because if I just show you, if you can have a look on there, if that focuses, you may be able to see that there is a cloudy and a sunny symbol on there. When it's set to sunny, that is 1/250th of a second, and when it's set to cloudy, it's 1/30th of a second, and it then gives you the aperture it's going to use in the viewfinder. Zone focus across 3 settings, so portrait, group of people, and mountains, but there is also on there a distance scale as well. So nice looking little camera, and this particular one is in very, very clean condition, so quite happy with this. Now, did have one issue with it, and that is that the battery holder and battery cover was missing, and you may be able to notice there that I've put some black electrical tape over it, and that's because there is handily a little clip inside the battery compartment. So the battery went straight in there, just secured over with a little bit of tape, and it works absolutely fine. So it's a great little find, this one. I think it's a really nice camera. It's a nice looking camera, and one I will definitely be using. The lens pops up and you press the same green button on the front to clamps down. It's a winner as far as I'm concerned. I can live without the battery door being on there because it seems to be perfectly happy without it. So there we go. That is our first camera, a Minolta Hi-Matic C. Up next, we have a Zenit 3M. Now, this is an unusual beast, the 3Ms, because the 3M was the last of the SLR Zeniths before they went M42 and got all industrial looking. And as you can see, it's a lot smaller than the later Zeniths. I actually think it's actually quite a decent looking camera. It's got quite a nice aesthetic to it. And unusually, not M42 but M39. So it takes the same lens screw size as Leicas of that age and similar. So this is my Zorky 6, which is a Leica copy, and it takes an M39 lens on it. And this lens will come off of here and will fit on here. The problem is that if I lay these down by the side of each other like that, what you'll notice is we've got a significant increase because of the mirror box to where the lens mount is. So as a result, it's about the equivalent of having a 17mm extension tube on it. So it turns this lens into effectively a macro lens, which is a bit of a problem. So you could actually get dedicated, or you did actually get dedicated Z-M39 lenses, so Zenit M39 lenses that have a different focal plane on them and work perfectly with these. The problem is this didn't come with one, and they are very, very expensive. Certainly in comparison to the value of the camera, these go for about £10 to £20, if I remember correctly. You will notice if I fire it as well that the mirror stays up. It's a non-return mirror on these. Purely mechanical, no metering built in any way, shape or form, and it's sort of working. The two slowest shutter speeds and bulb, so bulb a 30th and a 60th. The first or second curtain on the shutter, it varies as to which, jams as it's going across and doesn't complete its travel. 1/25th, 1/250th and 1/500th. all complete the shutter run, but I'm not convinced the speeds on them are particularly accurate. So that one, it's sort of working. I may, if I pick up an old expired roll of film or something cheap and I can be bothered, give it a go with the lens from my Zorki and I'm going to go at some old school Zenit macro photography. Oh, by the way, 1962 to 1970 these were around from. So, that is the Zenit 3M, the best looking Zenit, in my personal opinion anyway. Our next camera, I'm actually really pleased to see this one, and you may remember if you watched the last video that I linked to where I bought the job lot of 6 cameras for £18, that one of them was a 120 viewfinder camera, but it was in appalling condition, didn't work at all, and I bemoaned the fact of that because I really like 120 viewfinder cameras. Well, I have an Agfa Isola. Here it is. It is a 120 viewfinder camera. These were launched in 1955. Pop-up time again. It has a collapsible lens on it. The lens is an Agfa Agnar 75mm f6.3. No idea what the lens is like on it. You've actually got 2 apertures, 6.3 and f11, and 3 shutter speeds, sort of. 1/100th of a second, 1/30th of a second, and bulb on there. Also, one really unusual feature that you don't find on many viewfinder cameras of this kind of layout, because this was your cheap consumer camera to a large degree, and that is, it actually has a shutter lockout. So when you fire the shutter, you can't immediately fire it again until you wind on a short way. Now, it doesn't know how far you've wound the film. You still have to use the red window in the back to check on that, but you do at least have to wind on before you can press the shutter again. So it does have a kind of multi-exposure protection on it, which I thought was quite neat. So this one is in absolutely lovely condition. It's really, really nice, and you can see that from inside where it's just absolutely wonderful condition. The lens collapses and unclapses in a really neat little way. Nice little viewfinder. Really, really, really pleased with that one. Definitely going to whack a roll of film through that and see how it comes out. And I like the fact that we've got 2 shutter speeds and, you know, a couple of usable apertures on there. So keep an eye out for that one. Okay, we move on to the next camera, and we've got this one and 2 more to follow. This is the one that really stood out when I was looking at the eBay listing for this, and it's an unusual pairing in all honesty. So what I have here is a Minolta SRT 101 coupled with a Minolta MC mount Rockall QD 135 135mm f3.5. Now, the SRTs were manufactured from about 1966 to 1976. They had a good run. It's got a nice match needle metering system inside it. Decent exposure system. It's got the CLC, which was contrast level something, but basically it was a very early precursor to matrix metering. You switch the metering on via a little switch in the bottom, which is also your battery check down there as well. MC mount, mirror lockup on it, depth of field preview, really nicely built, shutter speed range, bulb, and then 1 second through to 1/1000th of a second. So a good solid starting camera for anybody who's interested in film, and they're incredibly popular for that. Now, for me, the interesting thing is, and I'm just going to turn around and grab it off of the shelf, because I have ordered a 50mm for the Minolta, is how well it lines up against my Canon FTB. So I've got a Canon FTB QL. I used to own one of these a very long time ago, and I rebought one recently. And it's going to be interesting to see how they go up against each other, because they are very similar cameras with a very similar specification from very similar points in time. And it'll be interesting to see how the two compare to each other. Sorry, just pop that back up there, and hopefully, yes, I now am back in focus. But yeah, it's a good, solid, fairly clean camera. There is a little bit of corrosion on the top plate. I don't know if it's possible to see that. A little bit of corrosion on the top plate there, you can see. But other than that, it's incredibly clean. All of the shutter speeds work perfectly. The lens is in absolutely immaculate condition. Honestly, it looks like it's pretty much just come out of the box. It's got lovely smooth focus on it. There's nothing sticky about any of the aperture settings. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, the little button up on the top of there, because this is an MC lens, that will actually act as a depth of field preview, because on earlier Minolta MC mount cameras, so stuff before the SRT range, you had stop-down metering. So you had to press that button to activate metering for some cameras. So there we go. SRT 101, 135, 3.5. Lovely little pairing, which I think I'm going to whack a roll of filming, because there's film in the FTB at the moment, and see how they compare side by side. Penultimate camera is another Minolta, but a compact this time. So this is the AFS-V, a 35mm point and shoot compact camera from 1984. These things were only around for about a year. It's got a Minolta 35mm 2.8 lens on it, little pop-up flash. But the most amusing thing about these is they were also known as the Talker, because they had a sound chip in them. You can see the switch for it there. Now, I'm not sure whether this one is broken or the sound chip battery has run out on it, but it doesn't talk to me, and it's supposed to tell you if you try pressing the shutter with no film in it. It had 3 voice messages, I believe. You haven't got any film in, it's too dark, use the flash, it's too bright. And that was about it. But in 1984, that was cutting edge stuff. Now, I have tried putting a dummy film in here to see if it required a film before it started talking, or if there's anything like that. And while the film does advance to the first frame, the shutter then doesn't fire. So unfortunately, I think this one is broken. Now, for those of you keeping track, that's the first fully broken camera in this lot. Yes, the Zenit has slow shutter speeds and maybe a bit inconsistent shutter speeds, but it does still function. It works. You could take a photograph with it. This you definitely can't. So far in this job lot, this is the first one that is, to all intents and purposes, unusable. Yes, the 2 APS cameras, they might work if I put film in them. I'm not going to, but this is the first one I definitely know is broken. Not bad. So, what is our final camera? It is truly lovely. It is a Voigtlander Vito CL. And that's upside down. There we go. A Voigtlander Vito is not upside down. I'm going mad. There we go. That was the right way around. Vito CL. Now, this is a fully manual match needle viewfinder camera from, I think, early 60s, 61 to about 67, 68 these were made. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the way these things look. It has a really nice reputation lens-wise with a 50mm 2.8 lens on there. It's got a selenium cell, wrong side, selenium cell meter on there. The meter actually gives you a match needle display on top and in the viewfinder, and the viewfinder is stupidly bright on this thing as well. It's really, really, really nicely put together. It's got a decent weight and heft to it. It came with a B&W push-on skylight filter. Nice little throw on there, nice and clean inside as well. Leaf shutter on these, and the rewind knob, there's a little lever just here, and it pops up. And I just love that. It's ridiculously nice. Now, it did also come with a couple of accessories. And that's these. Now, these are a pair of Voigtlander Focar filters. And they came in a matching set, a Focar 1 and a Focar 2. And they're magnifying lenses. And they come in their own little cases. That one's fallen on the floor. So they came in their own little cases. Look at that. And it still has the instructions in there that give you the charts that tell you how many to stack on depending on your distance to the subject, etc, etc. So I am absolutely going to have to give these a go and see how they work. I've got a feeling it's going to be quite painful to use and quite slow. Don't expect any shots of any moving insects or anything like that, but it will be interesting to see how close and how usable it is. Now, that's not to say, unfortunately, that everything is okay with this, because I have found that on the two slowest shutter speeds, so f15 and f15, on the two slowest shutter speed, a 15th of a second and a 30th of a second, the leaf shutter doesn't close properly. Okay, so I am limited on the shutter speeds that I can actually use with it. But we've still got a 60th up to 1/500th of a second. We've got 2.8 through to f22 on there. So the only thing really you have to do is work out the focusing, and it's even got, just have a quick look there, a lovely little hyperfocal distance calculator on the front there. So this one I'm really looking forward to using. I think it will be a nice, interesting camera to play around with, and that is the final camera of the haul. So, how much did I pay for all of this lot? Well, I'm going to pop it up on screen for you now as I tell you. And these came to me from the Netherlands. I didn't even realise that one. I actually bid on the... No, I didn't even bid. This was a buy it now lot. Didn't even notice that. Postage was £6. And the job lot itself cost me £38.50, which is quite ridiculously low. It really is. I think it was about £45–46 including the postage, which is, if you're from the US, just under $60. I think it works out as about $58–59. Quite frankly, the two Focar lenses for the Voigtlander CL, not even the Voigtlander itself, the two clip-on lenses for close focusing, they're worth that on their own. The SRT 101 body is worth that on its own. So I absolutely lucked out as far as this haul goes. A lot of usable cameras, all of them extremely good condition. It really does smack of, you know, somebody has done an attic clean on a relative or something like that, and they've now come my way, which I'm really pleased to see, because they are going to get used. And if you keep an eye on the channel, and you know, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload them, because I am going to be shooting with these and I am going to be showing you the results for these. So please do let me know in the comments down below which one was your favourite, which one would you like me to shoot with and are interested in seeing the results. And tell you for nothing, the SRT 101 is going to get probably the first run out of all of these, but let me know down in the comments what you're interested in seeing. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button so I know you like content like this. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.